sounds of Stadia Podcast, episode number 136 of your weekly gaming show, where we round up all of the Stadia and video game news for your listening or viewing pleasure, right here on youtube.com/Helix Cloud Games, or up there on your podcast preference of choice in the digital cloud. You're joining myself, Chris, your host for the week, alongside the man of many pixels, Mr. Richie.
Did you know that there's someone on Twitter who converting Pokemon into Football Manager players? A friend of ours told me about it, and I just like the fact that it's a thing.
I also
That's the only
like
reason
the
I bring
fact
it up.
It's a thing. It's a very odd time to bring it up at the intro of a show, but you know what? I'll take it. It's video game related. I like Pokemon. I appreciate it.
It wouldn't fit anywhere else, and just wanted to mention it. If it's your thing, head over to Twitter what is it? I'm just looking for the link now. I think it's at Pokemon Manager. I just love the fact that there's someone out there who's nerdy enough to do it.
Oh, there's plenty of nerdy stuff going on this week, Richie, because we've got a great show for our viewers and listeners out there. We're going to be talking about all of the Stadia news, of course. Your May Pro Games, officially or not so officially, depending at the time of recording. We'll get into all that. We've got loads of news. There's Assassin's Creed / Black Flag / Skull and Bones leaks. We've got Ubisoft being bought out. We've got some amazing data regarding Stadia Pro Games and what they mean to indie developers. New games coming from Ubisoft, we should mention as well. Plenty of new crossplay titles coming from the Borderlands and 2K team, potentially. Shit's going down in the world of Too Fast, Too Furious and the giant world of Vin Diesel and all his cohorts, and much, much more relating to all of the video game stories. But before we delve into all that, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and click that bell so you're kept in the loop with all of the content we bring you here at Helix Cloud Games. And if you're listening on podcast services that allow a rating service, such as Spotify, do give us a rating. Do give us some stars. Hopefully 5. I think the rating's out of 5, but give us as much as you feel like we deserve. But we do
give us 6 if you can.
Give us 7 if you can. Give us all of the...
Unless it's out of 10, then give us 10.
All the stars. Milky Way magic stars out there. Nom nom nom. But before we dive into all of the amazing news, Richie, shout out to all of our Helix... It's Friday night. We're recording. Helix Heroes, Richie. Our members, of course, our YouTube members channel. It's going to be a crazy one. I've recovered from COVID. We're going away to a stag do this weekend. It's Friday. It's a bank holiday. No, I can say it because he should know by now. It's a secret. He doesn't know about it. He does listen to the show. We got you. You didn't know about it. If you're listening, that is. But yes. So,
I hope he enjoyed it. Of course he enjoyed it.
Of course he enjoyed it. We're going out. We're getting drunk, which seems to be a trend with us. But yeah, I've recovered. I'm allowed at the house now. I've tested negative, Richie. It's still a little bit tickly throat, but you know what? I'm feeling good. It didn't hit me too hard. So yes, after all of that, I'm in a good mood. So shout out to all the other people who keep me in a good mood, which is our Helix Heroes, the members of our channel. You can support us, of course, from as little as 99p. If you think we're worth it, click join down below. You get access to stickers, badges, exclusive perks, and more importantly, early access to some of our content right here on the YouTube channel. So yes, if not, don't hesitate to click like instead. Share with your friends and family. Hashtag that Stadia. And you know what? Hashtag Stadia the shit out of that over on Twitter, Richie, because it helps us get into that algorithm. It's what the magic needs to happen. But we've done some gaming this week. We went back into the world of World War Z for the 4th time now. Having an absolute blast.
Our fans voted for that one as well.
They did. We put the vote out to the public and you voted with 58% of the votes. World War Z won. So I do have a sneaky suspicion it ain't going to be the same this coming week, though, as we trickle into the month of May. Plenty of games to play.
We've got some plans for next week. But I just want to say, people should keep an eye on the community tab on YouTube, because we do actually drop stuff in there.
We do. We certainly do. We did a shorts review. You did your first shorts review for the channel.
I did. On East 9, so it's a minute long. It is a YouTube short. YouTube slightly annoyed me because I spent ages working on an awesome thumbnail and it just didn't pull it through for the short, which is kind of... Cheers, YouTube, for being a bit shoddy, but go watch it. It'll take a minute of your time, and yeah.
Yeah, it's something new we're testing out. I think it's a nice way to kind of get a short, concise take on a video game across, and it only takes 60 seconds of your day, so it's worth it.
Yeah, it was just it was one of them, I just had an idea. I just fancied doing something a bit different, so I just went for it.
Yeah, and if you do want to see anything different from myself, Richie, or the rest of the channel, do let us know. We're always open to new ideas, new things, branching out, expanding. It's what content creation is all about, after all. Also, speaking of branching out, this upcoming Wednesday, I believe it is, May the 4th, Star Wars Day. I said last week I'm going to be jumping back into Jedi Fallen Order and picking up with Cal Kestis. That's where I left him. This time last year, Richie, where I did an entire 2 or so hour playthrough with yourself. We got through one of the planets. We killed some, what were they called? Boglins or something? The little alien,
I think it's
a giant frog.
It's been a year since I played.
Exactly, but I will jump back into it. I did get the platinum again on my PS5, so I've played through the game twice over now, so I'll jump back to it. And I said I will complete this game. But it's Star Wars Day. We don't have any of the Star Wars games on the platform, so join me in celebrating all things George Lucas, I guess, in a way. Disney Plus now. Speaking of Disney Plus, if you haven't checked out our episode of SideQuest this week, we delved into how Disney Plus could benefit from Stadia white labeling, and could you see Star Wars games on Disney Plus powered by Google Stadia. Good half an hour or so discussion. Richie broke it down. We had some great ideas. And for those who watched last week's episode, that whole side quest was actually spun out from us just simply talking about a topic on this very show.
Yeah, it was. I mean, if you watch last week's show, you'll be able to pinpoint the moment where we go, that's a side quest.
Yeah, it was very organic. Very organic. But lack of all that, like I said, plenty of games to play this week. We'll probably be delving into some of the pro titles, which we'll confirm now as we get into the news. Richie, if you could do us the honours of introducing us to
the super sexy special Stadia story segment, aka the news.
Sponsored by Helix Heroes, Rito Baggins and Kumna, joining us once again on the Helix Heroes platform. I can't get my words right today. It is one of those days. Long week. It's going to happen, but you know what?
You've been trapped indoors for like 2 weeks now.
Maybe I've gone a bit insane. Maybe I have. Yeah. I've been trapped indoors for 2 years, it feels like, as well, give or take. So it is what it is. Rito Baggins, Kumna, you're all awesome, just like the rest of our Helix Heroes, and you sponsor the news this week. Story number 1, Richie. We kind of covered it last week, early, because Stadia gave out a cheeky press announcement to press. So we had from our friends at 95 Google about what was coming. We didn't have any official confirmation, but you know what we told ourselves last week? Don't worry about it. We'll get a blog post. We'll get a blog post next week. They'll surely drop a message week on Tuesday the 26th, maybe Thursday the 28th at some point, right? No,
maybe even Friday the 29th. Nope.
At a push, yeah, maybe the last Friday of the month before in the UK anyway, a bank holiday weekend. No, folks, they didn't decide to tell us. So at the time of recording, in fact, you know what? We'll actually check live right now, Richie, because I wanted to pull this up. Let's have a check. This is
about 25 to 9 in the UK right now at the time of recording on Friday night.
It is.
For context.
I'm over on our official Helix Cloud Games Twitter account, at Helix Cloud Games. Feel free to follow. The pinned tweet was a news story we'll get to later on. They did post out like a weekly month wrap-up video for April, which is quite funny unto itself because it features Overcooked, which is one of our stories of the week. But if we scroll down a little bit, this is their last post, which was from 5 p.m. UK time today. And there's a couple of people, no surprise, asking about the pro games, saying, one from here, from Peaceful Skyred. I'm not really sure, I missed out on it, but have pro games been announced for May? And Stadia replied saying, hey there, thanks for reaching out. We haven't officially announced the pro games lineup for May. Stay tuned for updates. You don't have much time left to tell the people what they're getting.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment in the US, it's kind of mid to late afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe about an hour or two before they break up for the weekend, assuming they finish at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, assuming. There are a few other people in there, just having a quick scroll through. Of course, everybody loves games. Everyone loves pro games. Andrea M.A., also known as Mark Selly, of course, asks, no pro games? Thanks for your interest. We know you're looking forward to the pro games lineup for May. We don't have any news to share about them, but stay tuned for announcements. So there seems to be obviously a little bit of oddities going on right here, which
we don't have any news to share with them unless you're press, in which case the story's been out for a week.
Yeah,
just seems weird. But
so
okay.
We'll look into this. We do actually know the pro games because of the press release. We did actually cover it last week, of course. The big news being we are getting Outriders. Although it would be funny if all of this ended up being false now, if the press release was total bullshit, and it wasn't. Like, that could happen. I doubt it.
Enough reputable websites reporting on it that I'm confident.
It would be another twist in the story, though, Richie, wouldn't it? We, of course, discussed it last week. We actually jumped back into the episode and recorded an additional section because we got some more news that dropped later in the week. But so far, we're aware of Outriders. We broke it down on the show. World Slayer, the DLC, should also be coming at the end of June. So it's almost like the perfect time to jump into Outriders on Pro, with it being not only a big AAA game, but with it just about to have its first big, massive story content, new characters, new powers, new expansions.
It's nice timing because, like, he's the game on Pro, so you've got a month to kind of play through the initial set of content in time for the DLC. I think it's kind of perfect timing, that sort of thing.
I really do. And I think a couple of people out there, if you look at social media and stuff, there's a lot of people saying they're almost in like a weird lull of games right now. And I'm kind of in that same boat. I finished Horizon Forbidden West. That was my big PlayStation game for this chunk of the year. I'm chipping away at Lego Star Wars, but it's nothing that's like demanding my attention right now because it's just a Lego Star Wars.
It's a secondary game. It's like, this is not your main focus, but it's like, just play a bit of Lego.
Yeah, and it's perfect. Like, I know the story is like the back of my hand, so I'm not going to get any surprises from the 9 Star Wars movies. So it's kind of just there, and I'm chipping away. That's why I'm really enjoying playing World War Z actually at the moment as well, because it's just something different and fun where I don't have to commit anything to it. So I'm really looking forward to Outriders. We will be doing it on the stream. I know it's a 3-person fire team, so definitely we'll be doing that with the community. Keep your eyes peeled for those dates dropping on our social feeds, funnily enough. But yeah, World Slayer, adding on to that, kind of just does it buffs the game, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? If I do really enjoy it, like you said, I've got a whole month to enjoy it for free. And then I might opt in for the DLC. So they might actually end up getting some coin out of me after all.
Well, this is the thing for me, is I'm usually very reluctant to buy DLC because usually by the time I play games so slowly, by the time I get to the end, I'm ready for the next thing to move on to something probably sometimes completely different.
Yeah.
But if I burn through Outriders, like, because we are going to jump in either stream first. Look, we are definitely going to be making content around it. If that'll be probably my first time jumping in, if it gets its hooks on me and just burn through it, I might be inclined by the DLC because I've got it for free.
Yeah, exactly. And I've already made the thumbnail for the live stream, so we're definitely committing to that. As with a bunch of the other games, we've been in touch with our friends over at Y Productions. We're going to be doing a Lumos stream. They've sent over some assets for that one. We've reached out to them for some other features, but we'll have to hang fire on that one as we lock down those. So we know we're getting Lumos, the Master Mode Chronicles. Of course, it's live out there now. They've actually just reached out on Twitter for any content creators. So if anyone's watching along and you are a content creator or a big Stadia fan, hit them up in their DMs on Twitter or contact them via their email release and see if they can work with you, do anything. If you're thinking about doing a stream or you're just in your early phases of making video content, then they're clearly open to getting new people in the door. So reach out to them. They've been really forthcoming with most content. So shout out to them.
Awesome guys.
And of course, Paw Patrol, the Pawsome Dog crew over there, the family-friendly game that we're getting. We know that's still locked in and confirmed. But we did, thankfully, Richie, we were updated thanks to our friends over at 9 to 5 Google. Again, this is the odd thing. They are the only real news outlet, official, like, recognised news outlet, I should say. No disrespect to our good friends over at Stadia Source, but the poor guys and girls over there don't, and myself included, we're not acknowledged by Stadia as an official press source. But 9 to 5 Google, and I'm sure IGN, Eurogamer, the rest of them probably do get sent the press release. They just choose to do nothing with it. However, 9 to 5 Google give us the breakdown last week for these pro games. They've updated it to tell us now we're actually getting one additional game. They did tease it last week, and I'm delighted to say that Kaze and the Wild Masks is the 4th pro title for May 2022. If you're not familiar with the Kaze game, it's you journey through the Crystal Islands in a 90s classic platformer style as you play as Kaze and save your friend Hogo from a curse that spread chaos around the islands. Face enraged living vegetables by invoking the powers of the Wild Masks, pounce ferociously like a tiger, soar through the skies like an eagle, sprint fiercely like a lizard, and rule the sea like a shark. Now, this is essentially Monster Boy kind of meets Sonic in the most 90s arcade way possible.
Yeah, I think less Monster Boy, more like Sonic, more like 2D side scroller. This even some the assets remind me so much of Sonic, where Monster Boy is more of it's a roguelike. It's more of a Metroidvania, exploring the world, getting new abilities that unlock more of the world. This seems just to be like straight up action platformer.
Sonic Life. Sorry,
2D. Yeah.
With the Monster Boy, I meant in the relation to you get the 4 masks to give you like the different skill sets.
Yeah.
So like Monster Boy, you have the frog person, the worm, and everything like that. And
I know. I'm seeing this more akin to the power-ups that Sonic will get, which it doesn't mean you're not traveling like back and forth to different places to unlock stuff. Linear. It's like
left to right. But yeah, I'm thrilled to this. This is one of those games that I was looking forward to playing on Stadia right from the very beginning. And then it came out at, I think it was about £30, and it's a bit of a press for me, that £30 for a smaller indie game. Which is why last week I don't think the Sonic Origins game that they announced is well priced either. £40 to £45 for 3 old games.
Well, actually, there's a bit of controversy around that because of pulling the older versions as well.
Yeah,
we'll not go too into it. But it's like, it makes you wonder, it's like, why should I play the remastered versions when the older games still actually hold up for that price? It's like,
not if you can.
I'm still buying it. I'm still gonna be buying it. I know I am, but
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna be patient. Unless
it's not a day one purchase, probably. Maybe
we'll get to it. But that is our 4th game. So Outriders, Loom Master Mode Chronicles, Paw Patrol the movie, and Kaze and the Wild Masks are your 4 titles for the month of May, confirmed via a press release. Now, before we move on through the rest of the news, because there is a busy news week, Richie, what the hell's going on with this staggered information? Like, Stadia in general have been really good with just getting their pro games out, sometimes really, really early. This is, if I'm not mistaken, if we don't actually get a port. Remember, time of recording, folks, Friday, 29th of April. It's the last day of the month tomorrow, but it is a Saturday. And if my memory serves me right, I don't think we've ever had a post over a weekend that I recall.
I don't think we've ever seen a post on the weekend, but I don't think they've also missed an announcement for like pro games in advance.
Yeah, that's another thing.
But the weird thing is, they're talking to press, so they've got the list there. Mm-hmm. So all they need to do is pull together the blog post.
Yeah.
Which is what? Max an hour for someone to write, and then maybe another hour for people to just proofread it and QC it before it goes out.
Yeah, you definitely need that proofreading if anything's taught.
It's not. It doesn't feel like this is going to take like an entire day of someone's time to pull together.
Odd. Very
Especially when the information's already there.
They had it ready to go last week, which I know, speaking to some of my friends at Stadia Source, are they trying to push a last-minute deal over the line, maybe? Or has something happened akin to Deliver Us the Moon, where maybe one of them isn't going to arrive on time? Was Overcooked supposed to be included, but now that's another story for later?
If there's something like that, yeah, but you could just do an update to that, like, literally 9 to 5, have an update that adds Kaze to that list.
Yeah.
So you could just publish an update. I don't think that's catastrophic. And if something's not confirmed, you just don't mention it. And if it comes later, it goes, oh yeah, and we've got another one for you. You just deal with it later. I don't know. I think it's weird. I don't get it. When I think that East 9 short review, bringing it up again, not an plug this sounds like, I wrote that on my lunch break. I came home, recorded, edited like my actual script, because I actually used the script for once. Recorded the video, edited the video, and we didn't have a format for that, so it's all brand new concepts I'm working with. I got that done in an evening.
You sure?
On my own. Yeah, I'm not meaning that to show off. I'm just meaning
I know. It's possible. It's possible to pull something together. Yeah. It's an odd one. It's curious. It certainly is. We will pause, I guess, for a moment, Richie, like we did last week. Hopefully, we didn't catch too many people out, just in case there is a blog post that goes live. It might do it before we even finish recording the show, but like I said, we've left it till as late as possible on the Friday. We ain't doing it tomorrow because we'll be drunk off our faces by now, and depending on our state on Sunday, we might jump back in. So we'll pause right here, just in case there's a need to do it. And then, Chris, you can intro yourself back in with the next story. Thanks for that, Chris. Thanks for that amazing news about Google finally I don't know why I'm looking up. I'm not up there. I'm literally here on the camera. But yes, thanks for that blog post. That finally came out. Don't know why you waited so long, but anyway, here we are. And if we didn't get an update, who knows? It's Monday now, guys, right? What's happening?
Yeah.
Enjoy your
We've
bank
given a
holiday
chance.
if you're in the UK. Moving on then to story number 2 of the week. Another leak has came out, and it wasn't your Pro Games. Ubisoft's long-awaited Skull and Bones, the, of course, Pirates spin-off / new franchise IP that's been in the work for what feels like an eternity, Richie, a pirate's life, some would say. It's had some leaked gameplay footage, combat and on-foot exploration leaked. There was a Reddit thread. I checked it out earlier on. Did you check out the video by any chance?
No, I went to check it out when I was prepping for this video this afternoon, and it's already been pulled from that site for breach of terms and conditions. So I haven't seen the footage.
Okay. I did check it out earlier on, so that's good. So one of us has had eyes on it. The footage being shown now, if anyone's watching on YouTube, is just the old alpha footage that they showed during E3. So don't look at this and think, oh, it looks the same as it used to. This is literally old footage from 2018 that's been shown now. So don't worry too much about that. What I did watch, though, from within it is they showed us some more gameplay. A couple of points to note is, of course, this hasn't been confirmed for Stadia, but it's safe to assume we would hope that Ubisoft, this is a Ubisoft title that would be arriving, most likely day one as well, with crossplay and Ubisoft Connect save and everything. It's had a bit of a refresh in it. They've changed a couple of things. So as noted in the IGN article that I'm reading from, it's got a hub world. So similar to kind of Destiny, Richie, there's going to be a location, a pirate's camp that you arrive into, and that's going to be basically your hub for updating your character, updating your ship, your boat, customization options. It's called Saint Anne or Sant Anne, and that's going to be a pirate hub. You can socialise with other players at this hub. You're going to have a team of up to 3 people if you want to. So again, very Destiny-esque in terms of the framework. Players can then head out into the real world to complete quests with gameplay pretty much similar one-to-one what you've seen in Black Flag. You take on ships, you've got your cannons, your different ammunition types, you can ram them, you can upgrade your ship's armour, you have to watch out for things like strong winds, waves, all that kind of magic that happened in Black Flag all those years ago. You can take on forts now, settlements, there's some NPC ships. Remember, Richie, ships, not boats, ships.
Yep.
From our live, if anyone didn't check out World War Z live stream, we broke down the difference between ships and boats for some nautical facts for people out there. Players will need to prepare beforehand, so you need to kind of up your resources. You need to get food and drink for your crew. So if your crew's morale runs quite low, apparently that has a big impact on you either suffering a mutiny or them abandoning you over ship or fleeing and stuff. And in general, it's just kind of got a bit of a refresh treatment. It's got a new logo as well, Skull and Bones. It's kind of black text on a yellow background, and it's a Ubisoft original. So they've gone back in and did their little art style tweaking. But all in all, I can't help just think this is a little bit too late. Again, 7-8 years in development, spin off to Black Flag. I feel like how many Assassin's Creed games have we got since Black Flag now?
You know, there's a number of comments in the IGN article of the same veins, like 8 years in development on a one aspect of like an old Assassin's Creed game. Mm-hmm. For me, like, we don't know what the price point in this is going to be. If it's like a $60, $70 price point, that might feel a bit steep. But if it's somewhere closer to like 30, 40,
you know what? I could see it being free at this point.
Yeah, I don't know if Ubisoft are gonna. Have they ever done a free to play game like out the gate?
Hyperscape,
but it's.
We all know that.
Have they ever done a free to game play out the gate?
It's
the
only thing that makes
free to play.
Yeah, the only thing that makes me think that is one, development hell. So I think the general feeling for this is it doesn't have the legs. Not only because of the length of time it's taken them to get it out the dry dock, but just because it doesn't have that campaign. I feel like it's starting to fit more into that free play, and I actually think Ubisoft probably have a better summer on their hand if we've got Division Heartlands coming out, which is the free-to-play Division game. You've got Tom Clancy's now no longer X-Defiant, which is a free-to-play shooter. We've got another game that we're going to talk about in the next story as well that's free-to-play, supposedly. I kind of feel like the way Ubisoft have pivoted in the last 4 to 5 years, that actually this game might actually do better as a free-to-play than it would a paid $50, $60 title.
I'm going to touch on my thoughts about Ubisoft in general in an upcoming story, but I just don't know. I think with this game, I've been saying for like it feels like for 2 years now since we started the podcast. Like,
yeah,
we just need to see what this game is in real terms rather than it's you play as a bot. We need to see more of what the gameplay loop is in terms like why should I play this game, because I don't think they've sold the game yet. The fact that there's recently leaked footage makes me think that they're not far off going, right, here's what Skull and Bones is. But when you mentioned development hell as well, I never really thought of this game being development hell. I know it's been a long time in development, but I always felt like they decided to develop the game, then change what the concept of the game was going to be at a fundamental level, and then started working towards that, rather than, when I think of development hell, I always think of they don't have a good vision for what the game is. They'll try stuff, it didn't work, it's not as fun as they made out they thought it was going to be, and like it just keeps all this backwards and forwards, do a bit, that's crap, do a bit, that's crap, where this just feels like, no, we've changed our plans for the game, which in line with what Ubisoft plans as a corporation are going to be.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. They did give us some more. Well, they didn't give us. The video gave us some more updates around. It can be played in solo or co-op, so similar to the likes of the Division and Ghost Recon and stuff. There's an infamy system, which is the kind of progression throughout the game, which you go up from outcast to swashbuckler to cutthroat to pirate lord, all that kind of different levels. And throughout those levels, you get ship upgrades, recipes for your crew, tools, cosmetics, and all that kind of stuff. And it's a lot of similar traits that we see in a lot of Ubisoft titles. And I think, the lack of campaign is what kind of dissuades me from this. But they have showcased in this video, there is actually on-foot elements now, so your character can leave the boat. You're not just beholden to the ship.
That seems to only be, from what I understand, in like the main hub, though.
Yes, which is annoying. I want to dive off my boat like Black Flag, swim for sunken treasure, get eaten by sharks potentially, and swim around. Even if there isn't a big like element of it, but like I want to be able to like board someone else's ship. Yeah, I mean you might be once you're in like close proximity to them, but I want to be able to do any like Assassin's Creed. I want the freedom to approach it however I want to, but. We're probably getting caught up in the waves a little bit with this one, because again it was a leaked video. It's probably by no means the latest version. We don't know if this is an old beta test from, it could be years ago at this point.
I feel like I want to assume that this is the most recent player test that they've ran, and it's why the footage has probably come out now. Say if they've done it like this month, or April. Yeah, they did a closed beta or closed alpha or something.
Well, the suspect of this footage, Ubisoft have actually shown the game off to some members of press and public, I believe.
I think someone's probably recorded stuff when they weren't meant to.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. But hopefully, not too long. We are kind of overdue a Ubisoft Forward event. We'll probably hear more from all of their games for the summer, because they don't really have much in the pipeline that we know much about. They've got a lot of titles lined up, but none that we know much about. So we'll hopefully hear about that soon, along with all the other Ubisoft news, because it doesn't end there. They've also announced a Project Q, which is a new team battle arena, but it isn't a battle royale, Richie, which is a bit of an odd one. We don't have any footage for this because the game is literally so brief of information right now. They confirmed via the Twitter account, saying that apparently we've got them. It was like a tongue-in-cheek comment saying, "You've got us. You heard right. Project Q is a thing. It's a team battle arena, letting players truly own the experience. This is not a battle royale." The game is in early development, and we will keep testing. So for now, all you can do is register for upcoming tests, along with sharing concept art for the game. Ubisoft have again clarified that it won't feature NFTs, but it will feature a variety of PvP modes and one single goal in mind: fun. The image from the press release shows 4 characters that look like they're in Central Park in New York. It isn't only concept art, but it gives some kind of... It looks like a sign of certain abilities, either jumping powers or... Again, I think it's going to be like a hero shooter kind of arena battle.
I'm imagining something somewhere between Fortnite and Overwatch. Like, more of the gameplay loop and different modes of it you'd see in Overwatch, but with the style and comedy and probably the camera stuff from Fortnite. Yeah. That's the impression I'm getting.
Yeah, it's said to have 2 game modes, Battle Royale mode called Showdown and a control-styled version called Battle Mode.
Wait, it has a Battle Royale mode?
It's got a Battle Royale mode, but it's not a Battle Royale game as such.
Yeah.
So, they're so thin on the front. The weapons are said to be traditional offerings. Fireworks, hammers, sticks, paint guns, deck of cards. Very bright and colourful, as you kind of imagine from... If you just Google it, you'll find pictures of it. You can sign up for early access on the website right now. One of us may or may not have had early access right now, but is not allowed to talk about any features or particular parts of the game, so covering it on a news topic is quite difficult. Wink, wink. But we'll know more about this at whatever this Ubisoft Forward event may be. Again, we're heading into May now, Richie, so they're either going to do one in May or June, right? It's got to be Summer Games Fest now. They've kind of left it too long to have an early Q1 announcement. June, we know Xbox this week just announced.
Q1's over.
Exactly. But I'm saying, I thought
we're literally a month into Q2.
Yeah, I thought we would have got one maybe late February time, and we didn't, because Ubisoft kind of gave us the cadence that they were going to do them every quarter or every third. So now Xbox have announced they're going to be at a showcase in June. We've got THQ announced their little mini showcase at the end of August, I think, which was well off into the future. But Jeff Keighley's teasing his Summer Games Fest, tweeting out stuff all the time. I wouldn't be surprised at some point in the next fortnight we hear about something about a Ubisoft Forward locked in for June in and around the Xbox showcase. Project Q, do anything for you, Richie?
No, I mean, this could be a nice lead into the next story, but because I'm on record saying I always feel like Ubisoft make very good games, but they never seem to reach for excellence. They always seem to just go 8 out of 10's fine. They don't seem to ever aspire to the 9s or 10s. And now they're moving into, honestly, a realm of gaming that I think is even more brutal than the single player narrative stuff with the online multiplayer stuff. If this isn't fun, this is Hyperscape again, where people go, it's not. I've got this better games. I'll go back to Fortnite. I'll go back to Overwatch. I'll go back to Call of Duty. That's what I worry about Ubisoft going down this route, because where all them games are just listed, they excel at what they are. Apex Legends, these all excel in different ways. Where Ubisoft all seem to be not leading the way in creativity, just following what's the trends. I always think of Ubisoft as, rather than a bunch of creative people, oh God, this is our concept for a game, how do we make this happen? More of a factory. Just producing, just churning them out.
It is, it's something that I'm sure they're well aware of, the shortcomings in recent year, and they're not the only ones. We've said before, Activision have gone through it, EA have definitely gone through it, and it's a hard thing predicting the future, unfortunately. It's something no one can do. No one on this planet can do it. You can only do your best.
The reason I say it leads into the next story a bit, because the Ubisoft stock's been slowly declining over the years. Because what I think's happened is, because the games are just like, you look at the launch of the newest Far Cry, where the biggest comment around is, it's just more Far Cry. Yeah. It didn't distinguish itself from what it came. I think people are just getting like a little bit bored of this thing. They're not reinventing things enough from game to game.
Yeah.
To keep interest. So each game, while being very competent, it's very good. All, as I said, all really good games, but each subsequent game has slightly less interest.
Yeah, I get where you're going. Which, as you said, brings us on to the next story. Part of the Ubisoft block, of course. Big fans of Stadia, so we're going to give them the dedicated time. This past week, reports began to circulate that there's some inner turmoil within Ubisoft. You referenced it there, Richie. Stocks declining slowly but surely. And Ubisoft may be looking for a buyer. Now, Yves Guillemot did come out a few weeks back, actually, and say like they would take any approach seriously. They would look at it, as do all businesses. If someone approaches you with a shit ton of cash, you're going to look at that as shareholders and investors and go, is now the smart time to actually hand the reins over to someone else and just leave with a big pile of money? We would. If someone came to us and said, Helix Cloud Games, he's a big bag of money, as much as I'd love to keep doing this show, everyone's got a price. Look at Elon Musk, he's dropping 44 billion on Twitter right now.
He's a tenner.
He's a tenner. I mean,
No,
maybe
we're worth more than a tenner.
We are
our
worth
company
more
is
than a tenner.
generally our company is worth more than a tenner.
It certainly is. I hope.
Not much more,
but definitely not worth as much as Ubisoft, Richie. And there's reports from Bloomberg and Forbes and the Financial Times and everything saying that the current potential buyers may not be too far away. But they don't look like they're from within the video games industry, which has me a bit more concerned. Private equity firms, Blackstone Inc., KKR and Co. Potentials, don't know who the hell these people are. But looking for now, purely down to things like you've got all the stuff that's happened around Activision, things like misconduct and harassment have suffered with that. Mega franchises like Assassin's Creed, as we've said, and delays, they've not really done much, so people are a bit unwary about what the future's going. Staple franchises like Watch Dogs and Far Cry not having as much impact. Things like Hyperscape, you said, totally like just dropped the ball.
Yeah.
X-Defiant, Future Concepts getting ripped apart. Most downvoted videos before downvoting things were gone. All the shit with NFTs and the Quartz blockchain stuff, and it's just kind of like Skull and Bones, Beyond Two, Good and Evil.
It feels like there's. I was maybe a bit harsh when I said like Ubisoft seem to lack creativity. There's brilliant creative minds there. It feels like the leadership of Ubisoft are going, oh, this is making us money, and in the past, and it's like, great, just keep doing this. And now they've got to a point where they've lost kind of touch, really, with the game, with the gamers. This is where I think the NFT stuff comes into play. It's like, oh, shares are going down. How do we get shares back up? NFTs, rather than going better games. Or just how do we elevate our games to that next standard? You look at Sony's first-party titles. Like, I like Ubisoft games. They don't come close. Like Assassin's Creed isn't close, in my opinion, to Horizon. There's a decent gulf between the quality of game there.
Yeah.
Both great games.
Yeah.
There's a reason I got a platinum in one and not the other.
Yeah. And things like Splinter Cell, again, long off. They've kind of ignored fans' requests for a new Splinter Cell game for so long, and it's hard to put it on one particular thing. But again, that's the problem with video games and stuff. They're not an exact science. It's kind of like the movie industry. No. You can put all this stuff.
Ubisoft don't seem to take risks.
Like the movie industry is like you can put millions and millions into a movie. I, for one, think that the new Avatar movies that are going to come out later this year have who cares? It's the movies we're so far from the original now. I don't think anyone gives two shits about Avatar. It'll probably make a good couple million, but they've got 3 in the bag. I think they're doing. I've got more interest in the game than I do the movie at this point.
Yeah, going back to private equity firms. Everything I said about Ubisoft leadership I think is potentially tame and compared to a private equity firm. A private equity firm has one goal in mind, and that is to extract as much money as they can from this enterprise. So when Ubisoft are playing around with NFTs and going, oh, backlash, let's back up a bit. Private equity firms I can see just going, no, they're going in, sod players. Yeah,
which it's an interesting one. Ubisoft.
Not everyone at private equity firms are evil, but I just don't see these as organisations that care about the art of video games in the slightest.
Yeah, it doesn't scream creative passion and dedication to video games.
From video games, it's a creative industry. It is art, and I think a good part. Not everyone in the leadership team needs to be these sort of people, but a decent chunk. There needs to be a good voice of people in leadership positions at all tiers in the video game industry.
Yeah,
who are gamers first. They think and care. They're passionate about games. A private equity firm, they just want money.
Yeah, it's an interesting twist in the tale considering the Guillemot family who've owned it, the Five Brothers, since 1986. They held off that Vivendi takeover, the corporate takeover in 2018.
This gives me hope. Yeah, this gives me hope that this won't go through. That they might be slightly out of touch with where video gamers are, but I don't think the entire soul is gone.
Yeah,
I think they'll be like. I hope that they're like, you know what, we're happy to sell, but only the right people for the right price, and it has to be both for me. Yeah. It's not just the right price or just the right people. You have to hit both categories.
As a quick wrap up for that story, then there's been lots of rumours percolating that Sony are not done with their acquisitions. Do you think the Ubisoft IP would fit well into Sony's over-the-shoulder third-person action-adventure story wheelhouse quite well, or do you think that's definitely on the table?
As a Sony fan, buy Ubisoft. as a Stadia fan, don't buy Ubisoft.
Yeah, there's a whole SideQuest episode in there of
the
like,
IP,
what that would mean.
The IP Ubisoft has got a brilliant, and so under the hands of Sony, if they're like, you could imagine an Assassin's Creed,
exactly
single player Assassin's Creed made by Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
We're going to go, you know what, we're going to go more linear, going to tighter on this game. It's not going to be big open world collector fun. We'll give that version to Guerrilla. We're just going to tell, you know what, we're going to tell what happened to Altair after the events of Assassin's Creed 1, and it's going to be a linear Uncharted style game, or like a Last of Us.
That does sound good. I mean, that's why everyone loves Ezio, because you got so close to his family and his personality because of the story. It wasn't just open world A to B open world, which is good in its own right, like the Far Cry games, but they do miss that storytelling narrative. And I've always said, like, video games, they're art, but they're also great at telling story when they really get down to it as well. But we'll find more about this, Richie, as the news unfolds over the coming weeks. There are a couple of little like tidbits also in the Ubisoft block that we'll get into. It doesn't really refer to Stadia. Ubisoft have ended the online services of 90 old games, so the servers is shutting down. You're talking like original Far Cry on the PC, Scrabble from 2007, and a couple of other bits and pieces on iOS and stuff. Again, game preservation.
I think this is consolidation. They're getting rid of the
dead assets,
the fluff on the fluff on the outside that they're just not making money on anymore, to kind of streamline the operation, probably in preparation for sale.
Well, yeah, it could well be. But moving on to some positive news as we round out the Ubisoft block, Riders Republic has had its Season 2 go live. So for those of you still out there rocking your BMXs, your jetpacks and everything else that has wheels, Riders Republic Showdown is the name of Season 2 content. It's live very much now. Mayhem is heading to the Ridge. The new Showdown arena is open. Jump in now with your 6-rider team. Select your new toys, collect lightning bolts across an arena, bring them to your banking zone, score points and win. Opponents can get... It's kind of... We said pre-show, Richie, it's kind of like Tony Hawk's Skate almost meets Outcasters Collect the Coin mode. Take them all to the bank.
It looks fun.
It does look fun.
I think at some point when there's another game that comes out on... for Ubisoft for Stadia, that makes us jump back into Ubisoft Connect Plus. We'll probably play some more Riders Republic at that time,
or another free weekend. Yeah, new character. I was going to say characters. New vehicles: the Juggernaut, Spider, the Sniper. Live events and more coming soon. The season, of course, will progress. It's not like most games where it's just like kind of one drop. It's different events and content dropping gradually throughout the course of the season. Year one, of course, all that content's still there. They're going to loop back and go through that as the kind of months tick away as well. If you need to find out more information, it's all available on the Riders Republic website. But as I said, it's live now to purchase, pick up and play. And that's it, Richie, for the Ubisoft block. A lot of Ubisoft content in there. Hopefully we'll hear about more of it soon. Let us know below in the comments what your thoughts are on all of this Ubisoft stuff. Are you excited for a buyout? What would you like to see Ubisoft do? Does Project Q or Skull and Bones excite you at all? Or is the boat sailed with that one? Do let us know below. Moving on to some more Stadia related news, Richie. Our friend Yves over at the winemaking simulator 100 Days put out a great tweet this week. In fact, today, Friday at the time of recording. We're a big fan of 100 Days Winemaking Simulator. You and Tom played it and got very, very drunk with a bottle of wine. I played it quite a lot with the touch input when it came on my tablet.
Great stream, go watch it.
Great stream, go watch it. He put out a tweet this week. He's been very open and honest, has Yeez, and he did so. He was on the Stadium Connect North with our friend John Scar, Ninja Guy X, breaking down the game and making developer creation for Stadia and all the trials and tribulations that come with it. And he put out a tweet this week saying, some data update. On the left, we have the distribution of the copies. I can actually show you. I know I'm showing the trailer right now. That's the membership for the channel. There it is. I'll get rid of the trailer for those watching on YouTube. There it goes. I can show you the tweet now. I've got this amazing thing, Richie, where I can share my screen. So anything I'm talking about out loud, I can actually bring up a visual aid. On the left, we can see we have the percentage of distribution of copies sold of 100 days. And on the right, we have the income distributions. Apologies to audio listeners out there. If you want to check it out, youtube.com/HelixHeroGames. Interesting enough, though, Richie, looking at these two magnificent pie charts, clear to see that Steam is the biggest money maker.
Steam dominates.
indie games, no surprise there. Stadia coming in with 1.9% of copies distributed of this game. Nintendo Switch 4.4, PlayStation 0.3, Android 7.1, iOS 18%, and a bunch of other ones, GOG and such.
It's worth noting before I go further, it's been out on PC and Stadia for about a year. I think it's been out on mobile for about 6 months and a few months for consoles.
100%, yeah. It's not had the full... It's not an equal comparison. However, when you flip over to income distributions, again, same factors play into it. However, income from Stadia Pro specifically, is 21.7% of the income of this game, which I think the reason it's highlighting it is... It's a big testament to probably the new pro benefits that were put in place for indie devs.
Yeah, again, and that 1.9% of copies distributed for Stadia doesn't include the Stadia Pro. He specifically says, on left we have percentage distribution of all copies sold of 100 days while making Simulator, not including free, in inverted commas, copies of subscription model. So, he's made 1/5 of his revenue has come from Stadia Pro.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually goes on to advocate to other developers to go Stadia Pro.
Yeah, he really does.
I'm not surprised with them numbers.
Yeah, if you're bringing in 21% of your income from Stadia Pro, why would you not recommend this to other developers out there? It's fantastic. And again, it's a testament to how good the game is as well. We can't just say it's all down to Stadia Pro and the money Google have thrown at small developers to bring the games across. It's a fantastic game, so rightly so it should be getting its merits. But the biggest thing for me, I tweeted out about this as well, is just the openness and the honesty is beautiful to see. Video game development is so shrouded in secrecy. It's just great to see some actual hard facts and input from a developer to say, look, this was hard, this was easy, this was complicated, this happened, that happened. And as someone who's a big video game fan, I try and stay locked in with the industry as much as possible. It's just really nice to kind of see how the cake's made, essentially.
Yeah, it's nice as a video game fan to understand more about the industry that I'm spending so much money in and so much of my time basically supporting. To just know more. It's the reality is for this one developer, Yves Holler. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Correct me if I'm wrong. In total, it comes to 24.6% of his revenue has come from Stadia, either as direct purchase or Stadia Pro. So far, it's good to know. It's 20-25% of his revenue has come from Stadia. So it's highly likely his next game will come.
Hopefully so. He's already said on one of the podcasts, I think it was actually on John's show, that he said that they haven't got plans for it yet, but I'm sure they're going to consider it based on this one. There's a couple of good and bad things that come up from this. The good thing is we now have other indie developers being pushed towards this thread to say, look, if you want your game across, look at the potential money that can be made here and look at the love from the community. On the flip side, though, there's a few devs. There's one in particular, Cowcat Games, have said, I had contact with Stadia at one time. They never applied anymore before I could even sign an NDA. So again, not great. I know a few people have tagged in some of the product managers at Stadia to say, can we get this guy back in touch, because at one point he looked at bringing his game across and you just didn't reply, which is bad business practice.
If in case you're not interested, just tell him. Yeah. Hi, sorry, we don't think this game's right for our platform.
Yeah. Or is it a case of you hand out 100 CVs, Richie, and no one gets back to you? Is it like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to think if the developer is reaching out to... If I was Stadia and the developer's reaching out, I'd want to respond to every single one, even if it is a no. Mm-hmm. Because the next game might be a yes, but if you don't reach out, if you don't respond, you're just burning bridges for no reason.
Exactly, burning bridges in the sky. But nice little news story there. Let's pivot away onto our next block segment of the news, which is 2K and Gearbox. Borderlands 3, Richie, it's been a game on the platform for some time. We unfortunately didn't get Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, to my chagrin and many, many other users on the platform, I'm sure. Borderlands 3 has just had crossplay. It hasn't. It's having crossplay expanded this spring to include PlayStation. PlayStation is going to be the last of the party, of course. Crossplay between Stadia, Xbox, and PC have been there for quite some time. But PlayStation, including PS4 and PS5, will be coming later this summer. So if you are a Borderlands 3 fan, expect that player base to jump significantly later in the spring. Big fan of Borderlands, but definitely a shame that Tiny Tina's never came, because it's reviewing quite well out there in the wild.
It's nice to see that Sony are kind of like slowly just giving up and holding out on crossplay.
Mm-hmm. And crossplay is one of those
just let people
things
play together.
where obviously we've seen it with plenty of games on the platform. It benefits Stadia, yes, but I think the way the industry is generally going, it extends the life of any game. Any game that has crossplay, its life is extended by bringing together more parties of people. So
instead of having like 4 or 5 different fragmented pools of gamers, as these pools decline, by having them as a single pool, you still have something strong there.
Yeah, if you've got 5 people playing on 5 different platforms, that's 5 people who can't share a game with anyone else. However, you could have 5 people playing together with crossplay. You're increasing your player base by default, and the more people can play together, the more likely they'll hang around and keep playing rather than leave.
I don't think we're far off to getting to the point where gamers are generally going to have to accept, unless it is a platform exclusive, if it doesn't have crossplay and it's multiplayer, I'm out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think gamers will get to that point, and I don't think it's far off.
I do. I think the unification is it's just better for the consumer, which is, at the end of the day, all of these companies, all these platforms, they should be trying to appease their consumers, their customers at the end of the day. They should be doing things what's right. Yes, the shareholders are always going to have the say, but the book ends with your customers. If you don't have customers or / players in this scenario, you don't have a platform, you don't have a game. If nobody went out there and played games.
I always think with, like, for Sony especially, let's say you're really interested in the Sony first parties, but you spend more of your time actually just playing online with your friends. They're all on Xbox. Mm-hmm. You've got a decision to make. Do you play with your friends or do you play on your own? Because you like playing the occasional Sony first party. You're probably going to lean to Xbox, so Sony's lost a customer there.
Yeah, it's very
by
easy.
Holding out.
We've seen it. We've lived through the generations where we've known whole groups of our friends pivot from Xbox 360 to PlayStation 4. It happened.
Once that keg was tapped, there's no putting the cork back in with crossplay. It's just one of them.
Mm-hmm. So embrace
it. Better pull up a glass.
You're back on that wine simulator again. But sticking with 2K and the Borderlands theme. This news did drop last week, but we didn't include it in the show. However, with the 2K stories coming out, why not include it? We did get Borderlands 3 after all, and we do have 2K games. I'm still actually hoping we get the Quarry at some point, whatever that looks like, with it being Supermassive and 2K. But Tales from the Borderlands, Richie, one of my favourite games from the previous Telltale
awesome
games. It is super awesome game. For those who don't know, it was one of the entries in probably the height of Telltale. After the success of The Walking Dead, they branched out. They did Batman. They did Telltale's The Wolf Among Us, which is probably one of their more critically acclaimed ones. They've done Jurassic Park. They did 2 seasons of Minecraft, which are also really good. Like, I've enjoyed all of the Telltale games I've played. Hell, I even enjoyed the Game of Thrones one, as much as a lot of people didn't. But I'm a big Game of Thrones fan.
I had no interest in the Minecraft one, but
I enjoyed the Minecraft
all
one,
the others I've played I've enjoyed.
Yeah, and however, Tales from the Borderlands, fantastic entry, loads of great humour, tells a funny story, and the art style, it just works. It actually doesn't make Telltale's old engine look terrible because of the art style. It actually benefits it, I do believe. And they've announced last week, actually, it was at PAX East. Even though Telltale are closed, the franchise is obviously owned by Gearbox. They are developing a brand new Tales from the Borderlands game, developed in-house in partnership with 2K and Gearbox. That's coming out this year. So, fingers crossed. We've been shouting from the rooftops for months, years, in fact now, Richie. The Telltale games would have a perfect home on Stadia, whether that's with touch input or across many devices, because they're not that latency impacted, but they're not fast games. You don't need like quick responses. They're very much pick a decision, maybe a bit of exploration, a couple of quick time events here or there.
They could work with direct touch on the phone as well.
100%. And there's such a breadth of them. But the problem with Telltale games is they never owned their IP. They had some amazing IP. Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, Batman. but they didn't own that IP. So a lot of the spoils of war went to the IP owners, and poor Telltale, unfortunately, shriveled themselves up to a point where they went out of existence, and then they came back.
The engine wasn't up to scratch. It was buggy mess at time, and then they spent too much on IP. Yeah, okay. Hopefully, the Phoenix company will have learned.
Wolf Among Us 2 announced coming out. Yeah. Excited, but is there a chance with Stadia? We really just don't know at this point, but there should be.
I'm a bit more optimistic than for Wonderlands because it's not a massive AAA game. But because Wonderlands didn't come, I'm also slightly less. It's hard. Yeah. I'm in a weird. You know what I want to see? Just remaster the original one and bring them both. That's what I want to see.
Oh, okay, like a package.
I mean, when I say remaster, I'm not even just saying for Stadia. Remaster for everything. Like,
it's an interesting one.
It's just a lick of paint. It's not a massive overhaul of the game.
I'd be curious to know.
Upres it to 4K.
I'd be curious to know, with these games being all Telltale, whether they are just lost to time, like no one's allowed legally to push them out anymore, or do Gearbox own the whole thing, or does the Phoenix Telltale company have like a say in it?
It makes me think that Gearbox or 2K own the brand of Tales from the Borderlands.
Yeah, I agree.
Which means that because the original Telltale is no longer existent, I assume they own the IP, so it's probably possible. It's hard to know. It's a weird grey area legality wise, but
if it benefits
if you can do it, do it.
If it benefits them all, why not?
Yeah.
However, we'll move on. We'll move away from 2K and the stories, and fingers crossed we'll get some announcements regarding those titles in the imminent future, because I would love to see Tiny Tina's, I'd love to see the future Borderlands titles, and anything else from 2K partnerships and stuff. Realistically, Grand Theft Auto remasters we never got, GTA 5 remaster we've still not got, just lonely Red Dead Redemption sat there rocking it out. Anyway, moving on to the next story of the week, bit of a sour one. Once again, sorry folks out there if you're looking for a super positive part of the show. We're 50 odd minutes in, so strap in. It came to everyone's attention this week, Richie, that Outright Games, let's start there. Outright Games, massive supporters of Stadia. They put so many titles out on the platform, all family-friendly games, of course. They vary from Peppa Pig, Paw Patrol, and to Fast and the Furious, Rise of Shifter, which is still one of the worst spelt names you could possibly get. And it came to a few people's kind of notice this week. Our friend again, John Scar, was tweeting out about it. I think Anthony, one of the other content creators out there for Stadia content, big fan of the game. They were talking about the DLC that was announced. So Arctic Challenge. And over on Outright Games' website, they published all the kind of content that will be included, new tracks, new packs, new challenges, all of that kind of stuff. And then something happened over on Twitter, Richie, where it kind of transpired that actually the DLC would not be coming to Stadia. And this is where things kind of get a little bit interesting. The developer outright claimed their DLC will not come to Stadia, and I quote, "The thing is, releasing DLC packs on Stadia is unfortunately not part of our business plan." Just straight up not part of their business plan.
Yeah.
To which has kind of caused a few rumblings throughout the community of some people don't care, some people like, okay. They've apologised, of course. There's multiple threads over on Twitter if you just look for Outright Games. And it's a weird one. They've apologised, and again, another tweet. We apologise. There was a previous communication error that stated the DLC will be released on Stadia. So they did say it was coming, and then now it just straight up is not coming to the platform. And this is kind of where I want to get into it, Richie. We won't go too long because we're already an hour into the show, and I don't want to stay too negative. But my take on this is it's not the fact the DLC hasn't came. Let's face it, these games don't sell millions and millions. It's more the principle behind what's happening. The fact that the game is on the platform and the DLC is not being supported. Whether you want to buy it or not, the game is on the platform, and as consumers, you are able to buy that game and you are getting a lesser product than other platforms are. Why? Because either Google or the developer didn't put pen to paper on bringing every last piece of content to this platform. I don't believe that happens anywhere else. Does stuff come to Xbox and stuff that doesn't come to PlayStation? Unless it's like paid for exclusive. But generic DLC that's been created for a game just doesn't come. And I get it's not part of the core game, but it's the precedence that this sets that would have me worried.
Yeah, it's kind of like the contract hasn't stipulated that you have to support the game in its entirety. Like, I know DLC is not necessarily supporting the game, but I mean, imagine if you were a big fan of this game, or any game for that matter, you're playing on Stadia, great, loving the experience, and you get to, new DLC comes, it's not coming here because
I bought it on Stadia.
Google outright just couldn't be bothered. It almost feels like the contract should be like, you bring the game, and any additional content of the game also has to come.
100%. Like
that's what I would assume the default. I just assume that would be a default like standard clause in these sort of contracts. Like,
yeah, if you choose to expand your game's content, you put it on our platform as well. And
the game's on the platform, we expect you to. I mean, it's not even. I wouldn't even have an expectation for me. It would just be, this is the standard clause we put in all of our contracts. You keep the game up to date, up with other platforms. No more than, let's say, a fortnight delay between like patches between, like, say, PlayStation and Stadia. And if you bring out new DLC, that comes as well. It feels like standard clause territory for me.
Is this just down to naive negotiation from Google Stadia's part? Or is this the developers saying, like, again, we know there's a human factor in this, where we've said when DLC and updates and patches have came later, it's because Stadia just isn't the priority right now. It's the lowest player base. Like we've seen it with Outriders as well. The stuff comes late.
It sometimes feels like Google just bring games, just don't put enough. I hate saying stuff like this because I know there's people at Google Stadia who work really hard and really passionate about the platform, but sometimes it does feel like it's just like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Oh, we can bring this game across. What about the DLC?
Yeah,
well, we don't really know what we'll do with that. Oh, never mind then. The biggest thing for me, again, I've seen the kind of the fractures in some people out there on social media, but the reality is this isn't a problem for many people. You know why? Because it's a bang average, sorry for anyone who likes the game, Fast and the Furious kart racer clone. It's not up there with...
This is like the game you'd have to... I mean, I would say you couldn't pay me for it, but you absolutely could. You could pay me to play this game, but my fees are high. Like, I have no interest. This is like as far from my interest as you can possibly get.
Yeah.
While still being a game.
But again, no disrespect to the game because everything's subjective, but it's not winning any Game of the Year awards. No one will really remember this probably in 5-10 years' time. But the key thing for me, and the reason I want to go back to it, is that it's the principle of what's happening. Is this isn't a problem until it affects a game you like. If you bought Doom Eternal and none of the DLC came for Doom, you'd be pissed off. If you bought Assassin's Creed and all of the Valhalla content did not come, Dawn of Ragnarok just did not come, you'd be pissed off. If you bought this on PlayStation, you'd be fine. If you bought this on Nintendo Switch, you'd be fine. Bought it on Xbox, you'd be fine. Bought it on Steam, PC, you'd be fine. Why is it that on this platform, it just wasn't part of the business plan? That cannot be excusable. It just can't. You can't just say, not the developers. It needs to be an agreed deal when it was laid out, because it's not fair on the consumer who's put their hard-earned money down on this product. Yeah. They've been let down by the parties involved.
The way I see it, irrespective of platform, all of your customers you should view equally. Mm-hmm. And it feels like Stadia, if you're in this, and again, I don't know who's to blame. Is this Google? Is this outright? It's probably a combination of the both, to be fair.
Is it Vin Diesel's fault?
Yes, entirely.
Always Vin
But
Diesel.
It's like, it feels like as a Stadia player, you're seen as lesser.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like, you're not getting treat the same treatment as players on PlayStation or Xbox or PC or Nintendo Switch sometimes. And this is not just a Google, it's not just this particular game. You do get that feeling sometimes with other games where, like, we talked about Outriders earlier in the show, how delayed the updates were to Outriders, the patches. Mm-hmm. It felt like, as a Stadia fan, that they didn't care as much about you.
Yeah. And we've seen it, and it happens time and time again. And the worrying thing is it's becoming the narrative. And Google don't say anything. That, like, again, the most Google do is go, we always support crossplay in all DLC and 4K 60. Speak to the developers. And the developers come back and say, look, it wasn't in our business plan. So that's the end of it. That's just it. So what happens when the next 5 games also don't get the DLC? You know what? No one will buy the next 5 games because the promised content isn't there. And that is a bad business practice to have, because over time, your consumers lose faith in the product. And if they lose faith in the product, you don't have a player base. If you don't have a player base, you don't have sales. And guess what happens to businesses that don't sell anything, Richie?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Or you sell it off white label style and hope for the best. But let's take a breath. It's not Mafia 2 or 1. Anyway, some good news.
Sorry, that tickled me.
Some good
I wasn't
news.
expecting that reference.
Some good news did come out of this story, and that is Outright Games have quoted as well, saying, "We are sorry for your disappointment." They've apologised. It's okay, guys. You do what you can. We will soon be announcing a series of new titles for Google Stadia that we hope can make up for it with hours of fun. Pending that hours of fun isn't limited to or includes DLC at this time. And since then, we've actually had a new game rated for Stadia, which is the DC Super Pets Adventures of Crypto and Ace, which is in line with the new DC movie coming out. I believe it's The Rock who's voicing the Super...
Oh, the cast list for this game is incredible.
Who do we know?
Have you looked at the cast list?
I feel like I've seen the trailer, and I did think, oh, this. If I was a bit younger or I had kids, I would watch this movie quite happily.
Right. We have Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart, Kate McKinnon, John Krasinski, Vanessa Bayer, Natasha Lyonne, Diego Luna, Thomas Middleditch, Ben Schwartz, and Keanu Reeves.
Just to name a few.
This is the Batman game, really. It's like, this is like. That cast list for this tier of game is incredible. Yeah,
I wonder if they're just taking sound bites from the movie and they're just kind of like repurposing them into a game. But you know what? Credit where it's due. Suit up as the Superdogs, Crypto and Ace, and saw through the streets of Metropolis in a bot-smashing on-rails action-adventure game. The DC League of Super Pets video game will put players in the paws of Crypto and Ace as they take to the skies to protect the animal populations of Metropolis from a new and looming threat. Movie looks fun. Right. Game looks fun. It's another Outright game. It's only been rated, but if we put the rating in line with Outright Games literally saying we're about to announce a new slate of games on Stadia, I think it's safe to say that this is in the bag. Maybe not with DLC, but it's in the bag.
You know what this game is? This is Star Fox, only with this is DC's take on Star Fox, but only using Superman's dog.
Crypto.
If you sound like the sound of that, then here you go.
Yeah, definitely. Plenty of people enjoy the sound of that, but hopefully not too long away. I think the movie's out this summer, so I'm guessing the game's probably... I think the game is actually announced for PlayStation for about July time already, June, July. So not too long. But again,
I didn't realise there was a movie coming out, so...
Oh, mate, there's movies coming out for everything DC. Super Pets of America. Anyway... Let's move on. Let's move on to some more news stories, Richie. The House of... I need to always add the on. Everyone says that on social media. It's The House of the Dead. Not House of the Dead. The House. Because it is The House we're talking about. It did finally drop this week. Stealth drop. Oh, did we know about it? I can't remember. We knew about this one. Yeah, we did know about this one.
Yeah, we talked about this last week.
I think it's because it was rated twice. My brain tells me we've had nothing official, but actually we have. The House of the Dead remake has crept onto Stadia. Nobody Leaves Alive. The House of the Dead remake is a remade version of the game from the 1997 arcade classic rail shooter. Coming back, true gameplay, well-known arcade game. There is a twist to this story, Richie, though, and that is that the game everyone suspected was going to come with gyro controls because we had an APK file for Stadia's mobile app that said gyro was a thing. This game obviously used to be used in the arcade with a light gun. I played it in the arcade many, many times with a light gun. Didn't get very far. My 50p's didn't take me very far. On Nintendo Switch, it uses the Joy-Cons. And in the description on the Stadia storefront, it said gyro controls. To everyone's unfortunate misery, the game dropped this week for like £22, I think it was, $22.99. And gyro controls are not a thing, Richie. They are in fact dead, as the title of the game suggests. Any quick takes on this one? I won't be buying it for 22 quid as much as I enjoyed it in the arcade. No. But is this another copy and paste description job? And why the gyro was left in?
I'm quickly trying to figure out. I think it might be gyro controls that are mentioned on the Steam store page, which when I found copy and paste jobs, it sometimes does seem to like copy and paste from Steam. But I don't know. I'm gonna go maybe, but it looks likely. But I'm not. To be honest, I'm not that. It's an on-rails shooter without a light gun. It's just moving a cursor around and clicking.
Point and click adventure.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't that particularly interested in this. If this came along with gyro controls and going, you know what, we're going to let you use your phone in a cool, interesting way, then there's something interesting there.
Yeah, you might check it out.
But if not, this is just a polish of an old game that's kind of a dated format.
It is, unfortunately. I think everyone was expecting to use like your phone as like a light gun and hold it up and at your screen. Somehow, I don't know how that would work.
I'd argue the best first to play is a Switch, because you can use your Joy-Cons and gyro.
Or the arcade. I'm sure they're still out there running in some arcades.
Oh yeah, arcade.
The arcades.
Yeah, I'd jam at this at the arcade, but
we might do this weekend when we're out getting drunk. Moving on though from House of the Dead, next story of the week. We were all expecting on April, again, 29th at the time recording. We're now in May when this show goes live. Overcooked, All You Can Eat, was coming for some time. We've expected it for some time. It's been delayed ever so slightly. The game is not quite done yet. It's gone back in the oven, but never fear, you won't have to wait too long. This game, the Team 17 tweeted out today saying that the game will actually be coming out on the 5th of May instead of April. So at the time this show goes live, you only have to wait a few short days, ladies and gentlemen, until this Thursday, which lines very nicely up with our live stream days, Richie. But we've got so damn much stuff to play in between Pro Games, Outriders, Lumort, and now Overcooked. It might depend on the price. Part of me did actually think, was Overcooked supposed to be a pro game, and that's why they've held off on the blog? And then the fact it's been delayed out of April is like, ooh.
It is possible that they were waiting on Overcooked confirming it, that they could make it in time.
Mm-hmm. Then announcing it.
But maybe the Team 17 announcements come a bit too late, but you just pay someone overtime to deal with that.
You pay someone in DLC overtime.
I hope it comes for Stadia Pro, I really do. I mean, we're definitely streaming it.
Yeah, and I love this game that much, I'm happy to buy it again. So,
yeah.
Just to play.
I mean, I think this is not going to... I don't think this will be a typical Thursday night stream, because I think we have talked on camera before about trying to do like...
Oh, yeah.
100% the first game in a single shot, which I think suits a Saturday night more, so we're not at work the next day.
This is a couple of beers, a pizza, hopefully not too overcooked, and a good few hours to do this with you, the lovely audience out there. So if you want to see an Overcooked live stream where we try and complete the whole... I want to say first game, because the second game is the hell of a lot harder, the second game.
I'm not committing to completing 2 full games in one stream.
No.
That's a bit too much.
It's a bit too much.
We'll definitely do the first game, and if we get enough views on that one, we'll go on to the second. Yeah. Maybe like a couple of weeks later.
That's right. The second game is not in our business plan as of yet. But actually, as we round out the week and we round out the episode, actually, there's another little thing I want to just scratch at a little bit before we wrap up the show, Richie. Deliver Us the Moon. I've been checking my Amazon app, seeing where my driver is, and it doesn't say he's just around the corner. We haven't had an update at all yet. We're on, of course, the 29th. The whole month, let's face it, the whole month has passed now, and we've had no updates from the publisher, the developer, or Google Stadia regarding where our game for this month, last month now, is at.
You know what the problem is?
Communication, lack thereof.
No, the problem's very simple. The council got involved because people complained, and now they're denying planning permission.
Right, okay.
Moon's kind of big, blocks the view.
Causes the seas to rise and fall.
Yeah.
Bit of shitty practice once again. Like, they were so talkative about this game, and now it's just radio silent. And it's like, you were doing so well bigging it up, and then now you're acting like we don't exist.
Just give us an update and tell us what the issue. hey guys, we're struggling with X, Y, Z or whatever. You don't even need to go in detail. Just wanted to touch base with you, let you know we are still working on it. It's coming as soon as we can.
Yeah. Again, I'd like to know what small bug it was, because this small bug, which I thought might have took them maybe a week, it's now been a whole month and they've not given us any update. There are a few people out there
to make the game.
There's a few people in our Discord thread, in lead and stuff, suggest the next gen version of Deliver Us the Moon comes out on the 19th of May. If they surprise us and say we're giving you the next gen version with all its bells and whistles is an April additional pro game, great, I'll take it. Still a bit annoyed that you didn't talk to us sooner, but I get it. You're hashing out these business deals. Just say something to us, guys. Just talk to us.
But that feels like that would be a weird deal to hash out. Like, oh, we've got wait a sec. We can give you the next gen version. Like, it's like days before release, like the day of release.
Hours before.
It was hours before release. Like, if you're gonna do that, go. Here's the game. We'll upgrade to free when the next gen version comes out.
Indeed.
There's I know I've seen speculation about Gen 2 Stadia Blades, but that would be no offense to the guys making Deliver the Moon, it'd be kind of underwhelming to release a Gen 2 Stadia on the back of Deliver Us the Moon. I feel that's when, I know Google aren't likely to do this, but if there is an official, hey guys, he's Gen 2 Stadia, like relaunch of the platform,
you want a big...
That's when you throw a bag of cash at a big title.
Indeed. Who knows? We might actually hear from them soon enough. We're getting close to 10 o'clock now, Richie. We'll do one last check-in before we round out the episode to see if they've actually posted the pro games officially as of yet. Final stories for the week. Baldur's Gate 3 is finally coming out of early access. You'll be happy to know, anyone who's been in the early access. It does feel like a long, long time now.
Yeah, we don't cover it. I put this in there. We don't cover it a lot because... The main reason I don't cover a lot is because every time they bring out a decent patch to the game in early access, it wipes your saves. So I've just not bothered paying that much. I've kept half an eye on it, and this is the first time like, okay, we're starting to get towards a final release.
Yeah, 2023. Larian Studios have confirmed. It's similar. I'm not a Baldur's Gate fan, admittedly, but. It just seems like it's been going for like even our channel was so young and small back then when you did a first look on it, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's crazy, but it's good to know. 2023, so still not this year. That is no more. However, next year looks like the date they're going to focus on. So you might have got a little bit of a wait yet. Probably a few more save files being deleted and cleared until then. But if you're a Baldur's Gate fan, hopefully not too much longer. Wrapping the show up this week, some quick little notes on the Stadia front. The Stadia storefront has had a redesign via the web browser for trials, demos, and much, much more. Reading from our friends over at 9to5 Google once again, they've rolled out the redesign to the web store. They announced they will be doing some things last summer, actually, and spotted by our friends Scooterama and InLead. The same fresh design looks like it's taken on the Made in Stadia store. Richie, you've had the update now, I believe.
I have.
Roll out gradually. Thoughts?
I didn't have it this morning, but I checked before the show. I had it. I don't think it's a big deal, to be honest. It's not a massive UI overhaul. It's just it looks a bit cleaner, a bit tidier, but it's nothing like. And there's a reason it's so late in the show. Put it that way.
Yeah, certainly is. It's not the be all end all. Yeah, I agree. Looks a lot sharper. Looks a lot tidier. Looks a lot more professional. I know the games now have more specific links, I believe was one of the stories from it. So you've got actually, like when you get the URL links, they're actually, rather than just a jumble of numbers, they're actually state like Borderlands 3 or Baldur's Gate 3 or whatever.
It's still missing kind of the main UI updates I'd want, and basically things like game organization in the homepage.
Folders.
Stuff like that, yeah.
Give me a folder. I feel sorry for whatever game is the last thing on my catalogue because I'm never going to play it because I'm never going to scroll that long to get it. It takes me 2 minutes on my Chromecast to scroll to the end of my games list. I'm never going to see it. Rest in peace, whatever game is at the end. I'll see it one day. And final story, wrapping out episode 136. We got another sales vote. We actually enjoyed this last year when it was between Valhalla and some... I know Valhalla won. I can't remember what the other vote was. But two games enter...
Was it Watch Dogs?
Oh, it was Watch Dogs, yeah. Watch Dogs. It was going to vote for that. Watch Dogs. 2 games enter, 1 game leaves. It's up to you to decide. Stadia tweeted out this week saying, Stadians, which game goes on sale? Time to cast your vote. EA's Madden 22 or EA's FIFA 22. So it's football versus football, Richie, for which will go on sale for £14.99 or $14.99. And the winner was, with 11,584 votes, football.
It's not a surprise. It's not a surprise, this win. FIFA won. But there again, you have to remember, American football is only played in one country. Well, I think Canada played a bit of it, but mainly the United States of America. Association football is played globally. Yeah, no. One franchise is clearly bigger than the other.
No surprise. FIFA 22.
No defense to Madden there. It's just the reality.
Yeah, FIFA 22 comes out. I mean, it's almost the same as the Assassin's Creed Valhalla versus Watch Dogs. Like realistically, the bigger, more well-known properties tends to win out in a sale.
I'm going to be honest here. I vote for Madden.
Oh, controversial. Because you own FIFA.
I own FIFA. Yeah.
Yeah. I voted for FIFA, but that's just out of stubborn Britishness when it comes to I want football to win. But either way, football wins. FIFA 22, 68.1% of the votes, 31.9% of the votes. Look what you will into that kind of data. 11,500 votes. They did send out emails for this one, but I feel like the turnaround time was a bit short. I got the email. When did I get the email? Let me check actually, just to check. So the email came through to me. April 26th, so they gave me 3 days notice before, 24 hours, 72 hours notice before the deal ended. If I don't check my emails, I'm not on social media, you don't get a vote, but I guess you got to trust the public, the wider public, with picking the best game for you. As I said, it's available now, $14.99, less than £15, $15. If you've not already got the game, definitely worth it for 15 quid. Either title would have been worth it for 15 quid, and he's hoping this means we get more EA games soon, but we digress. That's all we have time for the show. Should we do one last check-in, Richie, and see if...
One more, go for it.
One more check-in. Let's see. Google Stadia. Scrolling. Pinned tweet is the FIFA sale. You may have saw that at the beginning of the show. There's their April video. No, nothing. So at the time of recording, it is 9:50 p.m. on the Friday the 29th of April. We currently have one more day left, and it is a Saturday until the end of the month. Where is our official... We know our Pro Games, but where's the official announcement for the Pro Games? Anyway, when this show goes live, it may or may not have the official announcement. We may jump and cut back later on. We may not. We may be too hungover to do that. After all, Richie, it wasn't in our business plan.
Oh, there's one last thing I want to very, very quickly throw in there. I've just seen, courtesy of our Discord server, Ninja Guy X, apparently the creators of Death Run TV are, which isn't out on Stadia yet, actually in quite big financial trouble.
I have seen that.
So that's a story I think we just have to keep an eye on. Probably talk about potentially a bit more next week.
Yeah, I've seen MM2K and Jack the Slip, I think, have donated, or not donated, they bought the soundtrack or something for an insane amount of money to help them out. Amazing stuff, guys, as always. Very, very generous. It knows no bounds, but yeah, a shame, and hopefully the game coming to Stadia will help them out. If it comes with a 21% boost that Wine Making Simulator found, then hopefully it'll see them through these rough times. But that does, Richie, bring us to an end of episode 136 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast, your longest running and consistent Stadia podcast in the world right now. Never missed an episode. Every Monday this show goes live on youtube.com/Helix Cloud Games, and also up there on your podcast preference of choice. Remember, folks, if you want to support the channel a little bit more, you can do so by clicking like on the video, subscribe, and hit that bell so you're kept in the loop. But if you think, actually, you know what, I've just enjoyed the last hour, 20 minutes of all of this crap we've talked about, video games, we've give them shit, we've gave them praise, we've talked about stuff.
An hour and 20 minutes into a podcast, you've been enjoying it. Otherwise, you're a bit of a masochist.
Maybe. But if you think it's worth 99p or more, less than $1, folks, do click join below. Support us a little bit more because we do want to expand the channel. We do want to bring you more content. There's only 2 of us at the moment, so we'd love to see that grow and get bigger and bigger, and we can do that better with your continued support. Not only that, we do give you stickers, badges, exclusive perks, and early access to content right here on the channel. Richie, we're going to go away and record an episode of SideQuest, which our Helix Heroes get up to 6 days early. We had a great show last week. We don't know what we're talking about this week, so I don't know why I was teeing it up to pass it over to you. We haven't quite agreed yet. But we'll let you know over on our socials. And if you remember, it's Monday. You already know by now because it went live yesterday. Woohoo! Good luck for you. We're about to go away and get drunk and celebrate our good friend's stag do that he didn't know about, but he probably does now, and he's probably still recovering from it because we're at that age, ladies and gentlemen. This has been it.
I apologise for the state you're in.
No, don't apologise. It's deserved. It's his stag do. Anyway, folks, have a great weekend. If you want to follow us on Twitter, follow the channel at Helix Cloud Games on all social feeds: Discord, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and maybe even MySpace. I've heard it's making a comeback with all the Elon Musk Twitter stuff. You never know. What would be our theme tune, I wonder? I don't know. Anyway, find me at CyberChris2077. Find Richie
at RichieC89. Our theme tune is clearly going to be the Sounds of Stadia theme tune.
It might be.
Or maybe SideQuest.
Maybe SideQuest. And you can find our friend maybe in a ditch somewhere recovering. But until next week, don't forget, don't do what you want. Play wherever makes
Don't
you
do
happy.
that.
Don't do that.
Whatever you're doing, don't do that.
Stop it now. Put it down. I'll keep playing. Enjoy the show. Enjoy your week. Enjoy your bank holiday if you're in the UK. Enjoy that Victoria sponge cake. Meg will get that reference. All the best, folks. See you on the next one. Goodbye.
Bye.